Today I'm going to show you how you can create a checklist that your students can use for different assignments, projects, a rubric, things that you can help create that they can use to double check their work with. I created one for a formal lab report that I'm going to be using in physics this year so that students can make sure that they have all the elements that they need for a formal lab report. To create this checklist, you're going to go to Google Sheets. Google Sheets is a spreadsheet. And right here, one of the options is actually a to-do list, which is very nice because it's interactive. So you're going to select that and then use that as your template and go from there. So you can't just edit this one. What you want to do is make a copy of it. So that way you have one in your Google Drive. So I'm going to call this checklist, and it's going to be saved in my Google Drive. Takes a minute for it to load. And then from here, you can share it publicly. You can share it with specific students in your class. You have all sorts of options. So up here, it's named checklist, and you can go through and edit different pieces of it. You can rename this checklist, and it probably won't fit, but you can slide that out to make sure. Now I'm using this for, like I said, a checklist for creating a formal lab report. I'm going to change from green to blue. So I'm going to make those blue. I'm going to make these darker blue. The date really doesn't apply. It's just more or less that you have these things. So I'm going to delete this column. Oops, I don't want to delete both. I just want to delete this one. So I'm going to delete this column because I don't need it. It messes with the formatting, so I'm just going to slide this over again. What's nice about this, and I'll show you once we create our own form, how this works. So the first thing, I'm going to title this page the abstract, because the abstract is the first piece that the students will need to have in their paper. And at the bottom, I'm going to rename the tab abstract as well. So this will be the elements that the students will need to include in their abstract. So the first thing that they will need to do is summarize in paragraph form. Another element of their abstract, they need to state their results. And last but not least, they need to include their uncertainty and units. So all of those are the elements that they need to have included in their abstract. What they can do then is when the students have finished their formal lab report, they can read through and say, okay, yes, I did summarize in paragraph form. So I'm going to put an X under the check mark. And when I do that, it turns the row gray and strikes it out so that they can say, okay, yes, I've done this. That's good. And then they go through for each thing. And then for the next assignment, they can clear it out. So it's really nice that it's slightly interactive, but it allows them to be able to double check that they've included the things that are required. So after the abstract, the next piece of the formal lab report will be their introduction. So I'm going to duplicate this checklist. So now down here it says copy of the abstract, but this won't be the copy, it will be for the introduction. So I can rename that introduction both at the top and the bottom. So it creates different tabs for the different elements that need to be included. So you could do this for any sort of assignment. Have different tabs for each piece of it and then what needs to be included in those pieces. So for the introduction, motivation, or experiment, you need to state the theory that's being tested. With their experiment. And again, they need to include the uncertainty and units. And then you could continue on for the next piece. So that easily, you can create a checklist for your students to use to check their work against what the expectations are.